Okay. Hold the phone for just a second. Did the A's actually just make a big signing? I'm going to look away from the screen for a second, and when I look back, I'm going to imagine this is not here. Nope, that's there all right. Jeff Passan telling us Luis Severino and the A's are in agreement on a 3-year, $67 million contract. It is the largest guarantee in the history of the A's franchise. And even with the qualifying offer attached, Severino got well over market expectations. He says down here, Severino's deal with the A's includes an opt-out after the second season. My goodness, this is an absolute shocker. Now, we all knew Severino was one of the better pitchers on the market this year, coming off a good season with the Mets, but I don't think anyone out there had him going to the A's. This one blows my mind a little bit. Now, the A's, they've been surrounded with a lot of negativity over the last few years with their move out of Oakland, going to Sacramento this coming year, going to be playing in a minor league park, and eventually they're going to be going to Vegas. So they've been hit with a lot of negativity when it comes to that. But hey, you know what? What's the best remedy for negativity? Make a big signing to help your team improve. But I could also see some people out there saying, hey, why didn't you do this while the team was in Oakland? What the heck is going on? You did this when the team left Oakland. But then I could see some people saying, hey, whatever, I'm all for the team getting better no matter where they play. So it's going to be interesting to see the reaction. I'm sure there's going to be a bit of divide there. But listen, hey, with Severino, I mean, you got to give credit to the A's no matter what. They're making their team better. And Severino's coming off a very good season with the Mets. 31 starts, 182 innings pitched, ERA at a 3.91, FIP at a 4.21. This guy has had a lot of injuries over the years. Had a good season back in 2018 with the Yankees, but since then he hasn't been able to stay on the field. The performance has been down. 2023 didn't put up good numbers at all. Took the 1-year deal with the Mets, and they got him back on track. Now, the Mets, they recognized a couple of things with the pitch mix. They saw the sinker back in 23. He didn't use it really all that much, but they saw it was an effective pitch. So they said, hey, we're going to up the usage of that sinker. And it did help that, he had a good infield behind him. Lindor is fantastic defensively. So they said, hey, we're going to use that sinker a lot more. They upped it to right around 25% of the time. It had a 6-run value. He got the fastball back on track. I would imagine, obviously, coming back from injury, he was trying to shake off some rust there. So, just worked out a few kinks and ended up putting it all together here. Sweeper and the cutter were pretty good pitches for him this year. So, Severino, we all know this guy, when he's healthy, he's a talented pitcher. Now, do I think he's like a bona fide ace of the staff? I'd probably say no. I'd say more of like a 2 or a 3 in the rotation. But for the A's, he is the clear-cut ace of this staff. When you take a look here at the rotation right now, Severino leads the way. You got J.P. Sears, you got Joey Estes, Mitch Spence, J.T. Ginn is projected to be the 5 here. So it'll be interesting to see if the A's do add something else. We'll talk about that in just a second here, but this clearly improves the rotation, right? If we take a look at where they ranked with the starting pitching this past year, 26th overall, a 4.76 ERA, a 4.54 on the FIP. But hey, this is a great step in the right direction. And again, I don't think anyone saw this coming at all. Now, when it comes to the A's for 2025, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it. Hear me out here. I think the A's could actually be a pretty decent team in 2025. I've talked about this on streams. I see the players that they got in the lineup. They got some names here, right? Brent Rooker, obviously just coming off a great season. This guy was one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball this year. A lot of people were thinking they were going to trade this guy, and I was thinking that too because he's so good. A team would, I would imagine, overpay for a bat like that at the deadline. But in the end, they held on to him, and this is a guy that has 3 more seasons of control. Listen, Brent Rooker, at the end of the day, I don't blame the A's for hanging on to him because he's a good ball player. He's a good hitter. So you got Brent Rooker leading the way. Lawrence Butler had a very good rookie season coming up this year. I am very excited about him. I think he could be an electric player. You got some solid other guys here as well. Shea Langlier's provided a lot of power. Remember, they got him back in the Sean Murphy trade with the Braves. J.J. Bleday, he was kind of lingering in the minor leagues. He was a name a little while ago in the Marlins system, but he came over to Oakland. He put up some pretty decent numbers this year. Tyler Soderstrom, there's upside there with the bat. Zach Geloff, he came up a couple of years ago, was looking pretty promising. He still put up some okay numbers when it came to the power and the speed this past year, but the overall slash line didn't look all that great. So I would imagine a step forward from him in 2025. Don't forget about Jacob Wilson, first round draft pick not too long ago. I'm a big Jacob Wilson fan, a guy that's just going to make a ton of contact. He's going to play some good defense out there at shortstop. So I think that's going to help with Severino as well. I think there's a lot of potential in this lineup. Maybe you could add one more guy here, maybe someone for left field. I was thinking maybe someone like Alex Verdugo. Yeah, he's not the best bat out there, but a guy that makes a lot of contact, a guy that's going to give you some decent defense. So I could maybe see the A's taking a look at him. He's probably I would imagine he's going to get a 1-year deal on the cheap. So maybe they could look towards someone like him. We'll see. But I think if you add one more bat, especially a better bat than Verdugo, then I could see this A's lineup being pretty good. If you take a look at where the A's ranked offensively this past year, 15th overall, but I think that might even be surprising to some people because I think a lot of people thought, oh, the A's are just really not all that great. But hey, they had it right around a league average WRC plus, get a bit of progression into some of these guys, and all of a sudden maybe Oakland in 25, maybe they're lingering towards the top 10, get a step forward out of some of these guys, can end up being a pretty decent lineup. Now, the one thing about the A's that I actually really liked, that I think was very underrated this past year, was the bullpen. Now, the biggest piece was Mason Miller. This guy was an absolute freak this past year. There have been talks about maybe him going back to the rotation, but it seems like he's probably going to end up staying in that closer role. We'll see. But if they do, obviously, you got one of the best closers in baseball, if not the best closer in baseball. Mason Miller, off the charts this past year, leading the major leagues in strikeouts per 9 among all qualified relievers. But it's not just him. You had some guys really stepping up in this bullpen here. Now, taking a look at where the A's ranked, they had the 9th best bullpen when it came to Fangraph wins above replacement in 2024. Had a 3.83 ERA, a 3.81 on the FIP, 9 strikeouts per 9. So, yeah, Oakland, they had a pretty decent bullpen. Again, Mason Miller was a big part of it, but you had other guys like Michael Otanez, you had Tyler Ferguson in here doing some things, TJ McFarland, Lucas Ursig, you don't have him anymore, obviously, so they're going to have to make up for that production for a full season, but they had some guys doing some things here. Maybe they could add something else in free agency here. There are some veterans out there that maybe you can get on a 1-year deal. Now, when it comes to guys that maybe they could go after, again, this is a head turner here because not only did they sign Luis Severino to the richest contract in franchise history, but could this signal maybe the A's going after some other players out there? Now, I'm not expecting them to go after Corbin Burns, Max Fried, even Nathan Eovaldi, but even Jack Flaherty. I don't think that would be a possibility. Who knows? We've seen some crazy things. Could the the Sacramento A's come out of nowhere and just give Flaherty just a barn burner of a deal? My goodness. But, maybe they could make a run at someone like Nick Pivetta. Alex Cobb, a 1-year deal, had some injuries this past year, maybe a 1-year prove-it deal, a guy motivated, maybe going back out into free agency after next season, try and get himself a long-term deal. Maybe they could cash in on something like that. Could they somehow get a veteran like Max Scherzer to come into town? I'm not sure. I don't know about that. If not him, maybe some other veterans out here that can give you some innings, Kyle Gibson, Lance Lynn, something like that. I could maybe see someone like Andrew Heaney, a guy where I think he's a little slept on. He's got some pretty good stuff. He's usually a metrics darling. I could see someone like Andrew Heaney possibly. They have been connected to Walker Buehler. That was in the rumor mill not too long ago. Now that they've gotten Severino, I don't know. Could they make a run at Walker Buehler? Maybe they're a bit more of a contender than we thought, when we saw that initial story. Maybe someone like Jose Quintana. I could see possibly, one of these mid to lower tier kind of pictures. We'll have to just wait and see what they end up doing here. Now, when it comes to, maybe some bats here, when we're taking a look, I mentioned Verdugo earlier. Now, again, I don't see them going after any of these top guys, but, could you maybe make a surprising run? Maybe Jesse Winker could be a guy that you could maybe bring in, maybe someone like Jacques, maybe you could get him to come into town, possibly. Maybe they could make a run at someone like Jerickson Profar. Profar, good lefty bat, right? I think they could use an upgrade in left field. I think Jerickson Profar, the fact, again, it goes back to spending the money here on Severino. I think, could this change the game here for how the A's operate in free agency? Are they willing to give more money to some other guys out there? Maybe Jerickson Profar, a guy that doesn't have too much of a track record. He just had a career year, put up over a 4 Fangraph wins above replacement. Someone like Michael Conforto, I could see something like that. I don't know. I just wonder with the A's, this is really intriguing to me. I did not expect at all to see this. I think everyone is shocked at this. And again, getting back to the Sacramento A's, I just think, they've had so much negativity. I don't think anyone expected them to be doing anything in free agency. But when you saw the report with Walker Buehler, it kind of made me think, are they going around maybe, saying, hey, we got a little cash we're willing to spend. Hey, would you want to come here, right? Hey, Severino, good for him. But for the A's, listen, I actually kind of like this team. I think they need to add a couple more pieces here. But I think they took a great step in the right direction. I think this lineup could have some potential next year. I think that bullpen is going to be still pretty solid. Maybe add one more arm to the rotation. Maybe the A's could be a sneaky wild card contender for next year. We'll just have to wait and see. But everyone, let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think of this? Were you shocked when you saw the saw the report? What do you think the A's could do in 2025? Do you think this helps them be a contender? Do you think they're still a couple moves away? Do you think they will make a couple more moves? Let me know what you think down below. But everyone, that's all I got for this video. If you can on the way out, hit that like button for me, subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.